welcome back to another soulful episode of the Sunday Sit Down with Subi. Today's guest is someone who is very special to me. She is a woman I have not only known but have grown with in last 20 years. She is someone who beautifully blends brilliance with humility, ambition with compassion, and strength with grace. From being an exceptional student who cracked IIT and stepped into a top tier corporate role right out of campus to later choosing an unconventional journey driven by purpose and passion, her story reminds us that success is not only about titles and paychecks, but about true alignment with who we are. She is a devoted learner, a mindful soul, a teacher at heart, a loving mother, and a grounded partner, and someone whose spiritual depth has shaped every chapter of her life. Today, we talk about student life and pressure, career choices and courage, marriage, motherhood, spirituality, and the art of balancing it all without losing yourself. Please join me in welcoming someone who continues to inspire me deeply and daily from last 2 decades, Sneha. So, hi Sneha, how are you doing? First of all, Merry Christmas to you. I know it's 25th of December in India over there. So, are you excited to be part of this podcast? Yes, I am very excited. It's a different experience for me. I'm doing it for the first time. So, yeah, thanks for calling me. Yeah, thanks for coming, like removing time and coming for, this will be probably episode 6 of my podcast. Yeah, welcome to episode 6 of the Sunday Sit Down with Subi. Since I've known you, I know you have this deep passion for education, and I know you from high school days, and back then you loved being a student. You loved like studying and sort of gaining knowledge through every possible way you could. And you had been an amazing student all your life. Like you cracked IIT, you got into IIT for your MTech, and then right out of IIT you got a lucrative job offer at SanDisk. So my question to you would be, do you miss your student life? If you can describe how your student life was. Like I know about it, but it will help like people who don't know you, your students currently, probably they will get to know like how you were back then and how your student life was back then. When I think of myself, if I were to put one word for myself, the first thing that comes on my mind is a learner. I love learning, whether that's about like the study life, the academics that we talk about, or other things outside of it. I love just grasping more information and trying to navigate and kind of drill it into my head in some way. So my student life, I have been trying to take as much as possible. So even if the lectures were boring, some students would be like, "Arey nahi, maza aa raha hai." So that was never my thing. I was like, no, it's okay, but she's saying something that I want to listen to. So that was usually my thing. So I would try to grasp. But having said that, I don't miss my student life as much because now that I have joined as an assistant professor in an engineering college, it kind of helps me to revive the feeling through my students' eyes. When I look at them and I'm like, okay, I kind of recollect those days, and because I have to teach, I have to learn again. So that kind of also helps me to, I feel more young, I feel more alive, and it is more energetic, more enthusiastic. So as a student, I was, I also feel, and I also say proudly that I was a nerd. I would just sit with books, even when I would go to my family functions or outside. You could find me reading books. And also studied in an ICSE board, like you, right? So we used to have so many exams, like every other. There were at least two scheduled tests in a week, and then there were multiple class tests. So I used to not have an issue with also there are so many tests, but I would like, no, I have to study, I have to do this, I have to do that. So that was my goal. Okay, I have to do more than the marks, but I would love learning and ensuring that I'm able to get through. So I enjoyed it. Even when I had fever, I would go to school. Like, no, I am not missing this. So there have been really tough days where my body is kind of giving up. But I was like, no, I have to do this. I have to go to school because that is very great. I think students would be listening to this. They should learn from you that how to be like disciplined right from college days. Move to the next question. You did your MTech in IIT, and as we all know, it's not easy. You know, the education is not easy in IIT, be it BTech or MTech. And there's a lot of competition, a lot of stress, and people might get inferior, complexity. Well, basically trying to, apply for jobs or completing assignments and completing PhD or research and so on. So, I would like to ask you, since you had like like you stayed almost 3 years in IIT. What message would you want to give to students who are currently pursuing their MTech or BTech in IIT? Like, what message would you want to give to them to basically how to cope up with stress and competition?
Some things that I did over there to help me cope up, and some things which I learned eventually that I could have done to make the stress go lower. So yes, definitely there was a lot of stress because first of all, not all of us can grasp at that level. During lectures or we're not prepared कि अच्छा ऐसे type के भी questions आ सकते हैं. So, for example, we would, I'm not sure how your masters went, but over there we used to have some exams जहाँ पे they would allow us a sheet of paper where we could write anything and everything, and that was allowed. So the questions were not memory based, which we were used to in since our childhood. थोड़ा बहुत memory, a good chunk of it was memory based. So that means कि जो याद करने की चीज है that you are already writing on the sheet. So that is not something that you are aiming for. In fact, you are applying them, and then still the papers were tough. Kind of you're eliminating the things that are already taught. So you're going beyond it. You're applying them. So the stress level was definitely there, especially for a person like me who came from a normal college and from Mumbai University. Went through an interview process for MTech. What they asked me was, what was your rank? That was one of the questions. Was like, I honestly don't know because I never really focused on ranks, as you know. I was more like, no, okay, we'll try our best, and then ठीक है यार दिखा जाएगा, So I'm like that. So, and then I realized when I reached that most of the people over there were from really good universities. Some were from NITs, some were from the lower IITs, not from the top seven. So they were attempting to get into IIT Bombay, right? So for MTech, and then that was a really tough competition from the MTech perspective. So how I coped up was a couple of things. So as you know, I have been spiritual since childhood, but I joined this organization called Tejgyan Foundation, which is kind of promoted, or we kind of talk about it with the terms happy thoughts. So since I have been I have been a part of it. So I have been meditating since I was 16. So that really helped me over there as well. And that was a time where meditation was not so common. Not every other person is talking about it. It's more like acha kuch to hai, which just close your eyes and that's it. But it's not like this. So that really helped me because I would practice all the things that I knew. One thing that I really understood was more than learning, I had to unlearn my methods. कि नहीं ऐसे ऐसे करके नहीं preparation होता है. You kind of have to learn in a different way. I had to reprogram my mind. So that was also one of the things that I learned in Happy Thoughts. How do you rewire your mind? So I was trying all the possible techniques that I knew. Of course, on a daily basis, also apart from that, you would chill out with your friends. You'll go out. So of course, you need your breaks. You need to just not be aware. I would talk to you. I would talk to so many of my other friends. That really helped me to just be there and just this is what it is and just being honest. Of course, I had my parents because I was in Bombay itself and I have been raised in Bombay or Mumbai. So my parents were around, so I would meet them every week, my family, my sister, and everyone. So I could meet them. That was, I think, really helpful, of course. So multiple facets. So going from spiritual side to social side to physical level also, I would try to exercise as much as possible because they also release happy hormones, and you want to stay fit, you want to look fit. That's for your own good. So I would try at all the different levels by which kind of ensuring having a holistic life. Take away or what I would want other students who are already there to take away would be have to find ways that work for you for sure. You have to keep your mental health at the top because you are not you're not just we think अच्छा पढ़ना है अच्छा नहीं पढ़ रहे discipline. All that is of course there are habits which make us, but it is the mind which is taking in everything. The brain and the mind, they're kind of absorbing everything. So we have to keep our emotions at space at the right place. We have to keep our feelings at the right place. So if you can have that state of stability mentally, then it becomes much easier to grasp. So and take breaks consistently. That is one thing which I realized later could have helped me more.
Yeah, that's very beautiful, and it definitely comes from experience. That I've understood is it's very important to take care of your mental health. Like if your mind is good, it's in a healthy condition, everything else becomes like, easier to tackle. Now we'll proceed a little further. So I think you got your job out of IIT at Sandisk, and then you had to move to Bangalore. So you lived in Bangalore for a few years. I would like to ask you first of all, like, how was your experience living in Bangalore? And second, would you like to, state some two positive qualities of living in Bangalore or a Bangalore life, and two positive traits about Mumbai, where you're currently living and where you lived most of your life?
So Bangalore, it was a very good experience. Honestly, it was the first time that I was staying away from Mumbai. I'd stayed away from my parents because of hostel life, but away from Mumbai. It was a welcoming city. It was convenient. The houses were much bigger, so that is one positive thing that you asked. So I love the balconies, and even you are from Mumbai, so you understand that's not a norm here. There are very few houses, and if you have a big house, that's a luxury, depending on the location also. So for me, I love the houses. The weather was pleasant, and I like the people also over there. Honestly, they were more calm. They were more relaxed. Uh, they had more time so compared to Mumbai. We are in a rush. We want tak 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 schedules hote hain hamare, and so those I felt the people there, especially the localites, they were more grounded. Um, like they were more aware of food habits, for example. Like even the men. Why I'm specifically talking about men is because it's not really gender bias, it's just food science. I felt they were more aware. They would do gardening in their house. So coming to Mumbai, the two positive things about Mumbai, if I have to compare, would be so that was a relaxed part. So here in Mumbai, I feel it is more energetic, right? So both ways I feel they had their own positives. So it is more lively even at night. यहाँ पे रात को भी लोग काम करते हैं. And that's you see shops open, you see. So there's so much more. When I talk about Mumbai, so I love the energy. I love that. I feel people are more helpful in public. In public places, they are more aware and they're trying to be like, for example, I drive my two-wheeler, so अगर वो कहीं पे अटक जाता है, like immediately within seconds someone or the other will come to help me out, कि उसको निकालेगा. So that helpfulness, even though Mumbai has two diversing opinions. Sometimes people say people are rude here. That's one thing that I've heard. Maybe people are kind of into their own lives. But if there is something I have seen, कोई गिर जाता है रास्ते पे, I've seen people immediately trying to pick them up. So I guess even you would have seen that. So that energy part and the helpfulness for strangers, they're more around.
Yeah. Now we'll talk about the negative traits. Like if I ask you, mention two negative traits about Bangalore and two about Mumbai, which four points you would be mentioning?
One thing, transport again, because it becomes a positive. The transportation was not as, of course there were buses, but not every corner, not छोटे छोटे जगह पे गलियों में नहीं जाते थे, which happens in Mumbai. So end to end point could be difficult. Qualities are very good. Even the local buses were good AC buses at that time. So वो but end to end communication connection was not all that good. So reaching places was tough. Another thing which I was finding difficult over there was like the electricity part or the water part. So many of us would buy these cans, which of course you could have aquaguard, but the water itself was hard. There was hard water there. Some buildings they don't have. They have the Kaveri River ka water, so those were better. But that was not everywhere compared to the water in Mumbai, which is much softer. It's at least so I had stayed in multiple places in Bangalore, so har jagah mujhe issues. Mumbai again. I really miss the big houses in Bangalore, bigger and cheaper at the same time. So that was one thing which I didn't like. Personally, if I were to talk about Mumbai, uh, yeah, people could be a little softer and more gentle at times. That so they're helpful, but they can be rude, which I felt was a little better in Bangalore. They were more respectful. So for even for the let's say waiters or for the auto walas, so they would say sir. They will call them sir. So I really like the respect that they were giving there, which is not normal here.
So we'll move to your marriage now. So how did your life change after marriage? Like, would you be able to tell me three positive things that came to your life post marriage?
Thing was obviously the emotional aspect. You're emotionally more fulfilled. I don't have any touch with no, ki, wish this was there, wish that was there, or so I have a partner jiske saath I can talk. So for me, marriage is, I always tell it is more about having a life partner, and it is a life, and there's a partner with you. So that kind of saath mein chalna hai. That was my thing, the main thing that I look forward to, and that is what is successfully happening. So whatever it is that we want to achieve, whether coming back to Mumbai or whatever big decisions or even small decisions. So I love the fact that I have someone with whom I can share these things, with whom I can, just live together. And socially also, I like the fact that I have more stability. So overall, I love the fact that there is more stability in my life, and I feel as a person, I became more empathetic. I could understand others' emotions. Not sure. Again, marriage is different for different people. So that really, I love that change in me. I think you had also pointed that out a few months into my marriage, and I that is actually honestly that is when I realized that this has happened. Because you are because you're more relaxed, you are at peace with yourself. You start understanding others better. So if you have a good partner, that I think that really elevates your level in life. So that kind of that really helped me as a person. Also, I feel I became way more responsible. Just taking care of an entire house, even if it's just two people, taking care of your clothes, taking care of your health, your physical health, your food, just cleaning, keeping the house clean, ensuring ki gas wala barabar aa raha hai, ensuring that things are in place, and then you're going to office also. You're spending time with each other. There's so many different aspects which come together. Of course, you have a social life. You're meeting friends. You're meeting colleagues. So, so many things going on, and there was not work from home was not that normal at that time. So we would go to office every day. So that had maturity definitely increased. I could understand other couples better. So many positives.
I do see that change. And now you are a mother, beautiful child called Pehel, and definitely like she's the way she's growing. Like, may God bless her. Like, she's getting smarter and more active, and the way she interacts. And yeah, I can really see there's a bright child out there, similar to you. But yeah, like I would like to ask you, like I may be knowing, but then this is for our audience and for people who don't know you that closely. How has motherhood changed you as a person?
Connecting to the empathetic part, just connecting to that point, when I became a mother, I started understanding what other mothers feel. And it's like you have not, until you have crossed the river, you don't really know what it feels like, to cross, how to cross the river. So I can connect more. So if I'm traveling and I see some, in a public transport, if I see someone with a small child, I can imagine the difficulties that that person would have faced to even reach the transport, or even to commute that journey. So that awareness of such a big world outside of our lives before that, anyone who's not a parent. So I was like, oh, suddenly I started becoming more. I felt way so much more grateful. I was way more grateful towards my parents, towards my in-laws, because I was like, okay, so this is what they have done for us. So that also happened when I went to Bangalore, when I started taking care of the house. I was like, oh my god, so my mom has been doing that day in and day out, and that is so difficult just to ensure कि खाना पहुंच रहा है भाई, fresh खाना आ रहा है रोज, and to ensure that the house is so, sorry. So similarly, as a mother, I felt that, and I felt very grateful towards all the mothers in the world, so that emotional aspect is very very strong. And of course, when I see someone, a child who's not well, I I'm immediately overwhelmed even now because my child is still small. So maybe there is all these hormones also going on. But I can even tear up if I see a child who's facing difficulties, serious difficulties in life. Yeah. So there is a strong part of nurturing that happens. There's a very big part where you're just taking care of your child. As a mother, I would say again now. So you're just taking care of the child. उसके इतने needs होते हैं, starting from pregnancy, of course, but as soon as the child is born. So, taking care of the physical aspects, कि उसको भूख लगी है, उसको, whatever, you have to clean up the child, you have to ensure that the child is comfortable physically, warmth and cold and everything is fine. So that proportion. So all those, so starting from just the physical needs initially to now, my child is at a stage where the emotional needs also come into play, where the child might not like something. Then how do you convince your child? So I feel the nurturing side has increased a lot.
Oh, let's say Pehel grows up and she becomes 10 years old and she gets to watch this video. I know, like, now you don't allow her to use social media or internet or anything, but I think by then, if she gets the access and she gets to watch this video, what are the three messages would you like to tell her through this video?
I would like to, first of all, hope that she's had a happy few years that before that with me with us. So I would like to also tell her that teenage years, it is normal if you're trying to go through different phases in life. There's so many changes that are going to come ahead as you touch your teenagers, as you start ahead. So there's so many things, but it is so important to just understand yourself, just understand how things change. And as a mother, I would love to tell her that life is going to be beautiful, life is going to change so much more. And but I just want her to know that we will always love you, like her family, me, my husband, everyone. And we always want her to feel positive and good and be able to be for herself and for others, and have a bigger purpose in life, to be able to grow further in life. I would really hope to see her, blossoming into a beautiful being, and at the same time enjoying herself, being having a child like heart forever. So that, like how she is now, I would love for that heart to remain. Of course, maturity will be there. She'll become more mature for sure. But at the same time, focus on things that are more important in life for sure. And if you can balance that out, then nothing like it. Then you can enjoy.
That's beautiful. I would like to ask you, what is the trick that works for you, and what advice would you like to give to young women who are sort of having career and who are married and probably who have become a mother, and probably they are struggling to sort of strike a good balance in maintaining all different parts of their life. So what message would you like to give to them?
Because I had gone so much deep into my study life, academics in my masters, by the time it was my time to leave the college, I realized that I would prefer to have a more balanced life, because I believed I was a nerd, which I still believe I am. But at the same time, I don't want to leave on my friendships. I don't want to leave on my spiritual aspect. I want to focus on my health. I want things to be more balanced, and that was a revelation for me, because even I didn't know that I wanted that, because since childhood I thought I love studying. I would be happier just studying for hours and hours, which I did, but at the same time, I realized that I want other things, and that keeps me happy. Or at least that was change for me, and that's also okay. So you have to understand that things change. So first part is intention. So that at that time itself, I realized that this is how I want to be. So even when I was talking to my then fiance, right, about what I am really looking forward to next, so I told him I would like to stay in this triangle. So there is a part which is family and social life, including my friends or other things, right? Extended families. Then there is career, which I would want to focus upon, and then there is the spiritual aspect or happy thoughts, where I want to pay attention. So these are the three things where I want to divide, myself. The second thing is, if you are having multiple aspects in your life and you want to focus on all of those aspects, you need to cut down on the quality a little. So, I have always been a perfectionist in my life, but I have kind of gotten it down after my marriage. Thoda level, so 100% and 90%, 80%. So because you have to do other things, you have to let go of a few things so that you can focus better. क्योंकि वो 80 से 100% जाने में ना ज़्यादा मेहनत लगता है. That's what I realized. And 80% is usually good enough.
Of your career, you made a decision to choose an unconventional journey of pursuing teaching. Understand your deep passion for education. But I also know it takes huge courage to actually throw away your 9 to 5 lucrative job, which is giving you like great perks, work from home, and then you are getting great pay, all the skills you have already learned. You don't have to work harder to completely go away from that and take an unconventional career wherein you don't know which universities you can go for, where you will be in a complete different background wherein you will be standing in front of only 100 200 students and you have to continuously give lectures, and there will be times when your students are not listening to you. And all, I know it takes huge amount of efforts to go away from a very conventional choice to unconventional choice, especially at the peak of the career and especially in early 30s, wherein most of your life is stabilized, right? All in all, I'd like to ask you two questions. One, like, you can talk about your transition and how you got motivated to take the steps. Second, people in 20s who are really stuck in their career and they're not happy and they want to follow their passion or something which is more fulfilling to what their heart or soul says, and they are not getting that courage to do that. So what message would you want to give?
Because I have been spiritual, I have always tried to deep dive into my heart or my soul and try to see what is the guidance that is coming from inside, the intuition that is coming from inside, and that really I know that whenever I have followed that, I have been happier in my life. That's how I've taken important decisions. So coming to teaching, as you rightfully said, I have always thought, like, even when I was in school, I used to look at the teachers that I liked and I was like, okay, one day I want to do that. And of course, as a child, as a child, you think of so many things that you would want to do, but this has been that's stuck with me, right?
Yeah.
I kind of pushed it behind for some time. So even when I chose to do MTech, that was one of the reasons that I was like, okay, after MTech, I'll get into teaching. But by the time I finished my MTech, I was like, no, I want to, and of course there were placements going on. So I was like, okay, at least I'll take a job. And at that time, I was not in the stage to maybe study further. I didn't want to study further at that time. This was always at the back of my mind. And I always had that gut feeling that, okay, I want to try this, I want to try. So you are more spiritual when you meditate, when you sit with yourself more. So you're just doing that. That is where you kind of start hearing voices inside. Help me to know what will work for me, what will make me happy, what will make me more satisfied. So that was one major thing that that I've always taken for all important decisions in my life. So thinking about it, like practically how that is going to happen. So I have a good family support. I have a good system over here that will ensure that things are in place. So without them, I could not have taken this decision for sure. Especially my husband. So he has been very supportive, and I had been earning for some time. So we had savings, and of course, some. So we kind of had detailed discussions on where we are going with this. Very sure that this is what you want to do. I would suggest that just jump into it and understand that you can still get back to corporate life, because there are corporates everywhere, and especially in India, they are growing. It's a growing economy. It's growing very fast.
Last question of the first segment that we are having. That is the most interesting topic, like spirituality. How spirituality help you grow in life professionally and personally? Maybe you can share like two experiences how it helped in each of the category. Second part of the this question would be with like the rise in social media and AI, we see a lot of stress, competition, and anxiety among young people today. And I have already started seeing a shift of Gen Zs and young people and teenagers towards taking care of mental health and towards like doing meditation. What simple practices would like to tell these young people, not only young people, people who are in the 20s or in the 30s like us, who can in the day to day life this implement this simple 2 to 3 spiritual practices?
Any practice that you take, whether that's meditation, whether that is, maybe some people believe in Nam Lena, like you keep chanting names, or the different methods, right? There are so many cultures all around the world, so many religions all around the world, they have different practices. But the base to all of these is understanding. If you can understand, if that, the layer is opened and that secret is out there, then you kind of start connecting with all the different methods. If you have the right guru. So for me, that really mattered, because I was like, no, I have to find the right guru for myself, who will be able to guide in day to day life, who will be able to give pointers to how you actually help. So that's one line in Hindi that our Sir Shri, our Guru, that he says is बाहर का गुरु आता है अंदर के गुरु को जगाने के लिए. So the guru is actually inside us, but बाहर से कोई support करता है to enable it, and to make it come out, and ताकि वो जाग जाए and we kind of start kind of uh, listening to it. So you become more submissive to the inner voice, but at the same time you become stronger on the outside. So it's the right balance. क्योंकि कई बार हम उल्टे होते हैं, we are more tough with ourselves and we are more vulnerable to what others are saying. That is what is happening with social media today. Second is meditation, I would say, really helps us to do that, because number one is you're kind of shutting your eyes and you're at a place where you don't really hear noises. So that kind of helps you to be more relaxed. And there are a lot we can read online. There are a lot of benefits to meditation, even at the physical level. Your cortisol levels reduce. You're more relaxed. Your body starts. So you reach a different state of mind, and do it at least for 20 minutes, I would say, because first few minutes you are just disturbed. You're thinking of so many things, and maybe kei baar thoughts aate hain, when will this get over and all that. So a lot of things. So the third thing I would say is third thing is to kind of let go. Okay, now that's a very simple general term of letting go, but if you genuinely understand, letting go means letting go of something. So now when I talked about the body being an external thing for me, I'm letting go of the attachment with my body. So letting go of each and everything, and with the confidence, with the conviction that whatever is really there for me will come back to me. So if it is meant to be for me, it will come back. So when I have that confidence in my life, then you're okay to let go. I would you're okay to let go of a career that is not making total sense to you. You're able to let go of so many things. You can become a better parent because you're not too attached. If my child is falling sick today, I'm not that attached. Not because I don't love her. In fact, I love her more. And that's I know if I'm too attached, I will not be able to heal her. Reached the end of segment one, and I think we covered so many aspects of your life, from education to career to marriage to motherhood to spirituality. It was a beautiful segment. Thank you for answering all the questions so beautifully and so much in detail. So now we'll move to the second segment, wherein we will be sort of discussing about some life lessons that you learned in your 20s. How do you sort of distinguish between toxic people and people with positive energy? One who is so there are people who are maybe maybe a little tough on the outside, but that helps you to grow in life. So that's still okay. I know I'm growing in my life. So there are all kinds of people who are needed in your life. Okay. So some of them they might be tough. So it's okay if you spend a little less time with them, because beyond the point that will just harm your self belief and confidence. So thoda sa theek hai, but you need them because they help you to grow. So that is also good enough. Okay, but positive people in general, yes, it is always better to be around positive people, because they make you happy and they make you more aware and more enlightened and more peaceful. So that is definitely good. So it is more about again asking how are you feeling after meeting that person? Maybe after you met that person, like, अच्छा कैसा feeling आया? So sometimes they'll be tough, but उसकी वजह से maybe कुछ चार चीजें तुम्हारी life में खुली. There are some people who will show a mirror to you कि you're going wrong here, here, here. But they'll even tell you one good thing about you. So there are different categories of people. So sometimes it is okay. Maybe they told you three bad things about you. Maybe you just want to focus on that one thing. That's okay. उसने एक अच्छी चीज भी बताई, तो you focus on those two things only. You don't want to focus on the other two. Makes sense, yeah. So if you get to talk to 19-year-old Sneha, like today, you get a chance to talk to her, what advice would you give to her for living her 20s differently? I would. So one thing is definitely I would tell her to have more confidence. That that it's okay. Things work out. Things don't work out sometimes, and that's okay. And to have like to have more faith in herself, and her decisions and her voice, her intuition. See, okay, that will give you the right way. It was a heavy segment. We discussed on some deep reflections on your life lessons in 20s. Now we'll move to the final segment of our show, of this episode, which is the fun segment. Herein, I'll ask you some light-hearted questions, and I'm expecting some jolly chat over the questions that I'm asking. So let's say at 2 a.m. at night, you are in your house and you're hungry.
Okay, so what's your go-to comfort food at 2 a.m.?
So I love this bhujia save. That's my comfort food, and the spicier one, not the aloo bhujia one. I can have it anytime, but sometimes I have it so much that my stomach starts aching. So, but that's so I mix it with cheese or butter or ketchup or and put it in bread, like different kind of combinations depending on my mood. So that's my comfort food. The canteen people, they would sell something called as Tagda Frankie. Okay, Tagda Frankie. I used to love it. तो उसमें they used to put आलू का filling, and they would put bhujia, a lot of cheese and different sauces, and that was my comfort food over there. So even at night, वो क्योंकि रात को 2-3 बजे तक खुला रहता था.
Right. So, if your life had a background song, what song would that be?
Love that song, Hindi wala, Love You Zindagi. जिसमें Alia Bhatt is like just roaming around freely and she's like enjoying. So I guess that could be one for me.
Question to you was, like, if somebody gets to play you in a movie, who would that person be? And that
Alia Bhatt, because I really appreciate her as an actor. As an actor per se, like I feel she is. I believe in her roles that she plays. So that's one of the major reasons as an actress I really think that she is good. I think she can play me. She has the right quality. She can be disciplined, sincere, but yet light and just whatever. Like I feel she'll be good. Yeah.
So, okay, the last question in this segment would be, if you get to swap your life with somebody for a day, who would that person be?
It'll be different people for different days. Like depending on my mood. Like if I'm in, like I would like to exchange with some celebrity someday just to see how their life is, just to have that glamorous experience for one day. Maybe I would also like to exchange with, let's say, a spiritual leader someday. Just to experience that complete satisfaction. Pure happiness through and through, even for one day without any negative thought or negative feeling. Yeah, I don't think I don't think I can have one answer for this. I would love to, yeah, because I would love to go inside different people's brains and their life experiences. Maybe I would love to exchange with you one day just to.
So you already know a lot about my brain.
Not about knowing you, to feel your life, like experience your life. Ki, how is it to work in Amazon? How is it to stay in the US for a day? Like I don't know what it is. Like I just heard stories, right? I've just seen it. Maybe I could exchange with my husband for a day. Like I don't know, just to see what he feels the whole day.
An amazing answer. So, congratulations, Neha. We had a long chat, and then thank you for all your beautiful answers and for all your reflective and insightful, explanations to every question that I asked. So, before wrapping this episode, I just have last two small questions for you. The first one would be, what is that one thing that can make you instantly happy?
I think currently it's my child's happy face. So if she is happy, if she is chirping, if she is just dancing, just yeah. So that is an instant. I'll start.
So, and the final question is, like, if, what message would you like to give to our audience, to the show, the Sunday Sit Down with Sudhi?
Hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you had a good time. So we have been very authentic. I know Subhashri has been working a lot on this with her job at Amazon, which I'm sure is not as easy. So I'm sure she has her own challenges. So thank you for inviting me. It has been a different experience. I've never done this, so it's good, and I hope you all enjoy enjoyed watching this. I hope you can spread this message to others and tell what good work she is doing, and it's amazing. And I hope you have a good year ahead as well, because it's almost the end of the year now. And maybe by the time it is, by the time it's out, maybe it's the beginning of 2026. So yeah, happy New Year.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Everyone watching and listening to this podcast, I hope you got inspired by the conversation, and I hope you introduce little elements of spirituality in your day to day life and beautifully benefit from its impact. Until next Sunday, keep growing, stay kind, and remember that your journey doesn't have to be like somebody else's to be meaningful.